There's a lot of ag land that's not going to be put into use next year because the farmers pledged their water to the contract instead of pledging the water to the farm. So a lot of these guys are big landowners. Farmers lease that land from those landowners, and they just tell them next year you're not going to lease the land. We sold the water rights because we're getting more money to sell the water than let you pump it and use it for the farm. So that's where it's coming from. It's not that water was found; it's that the water is being repurposed. It's going to affect the price of food going forward. That's why I always tell people 2022 is not the year to look for food shortages. It's 2023 into 2024, which is going to be the problem years.
And good afternoon, everyone. Today, Bob Kudla. We're back for another month of synopsis on what we've seen happen in the past, where we see things moving in the future, going out through the end of the year. It could be the transition of energy, transition of currencies, trade disputes, and what's really going to become valuable as we move through to try to protect your wealth, and also huge opportunities as this shift occurs. It's all encompassing. We all see it. It's everywhere now. So, Bob, appreciate you joining me. TradeLikeAGenius.com.
We're running 7 specials right now. We call them bundles. So stocks, crypto, you can trade futures or options with us, or you can just get training. Those are 65% off. They're already pre-discounted, Dave. And you use promo code August, you get 40% off anything in the store that's not already pre-discounted. But more importantly is really what we do for you. So, our system operates on basically looking at probabilities, and we look at levels, and we look at momentum, basically PLM. And then so we have algorithms and indicators that help us be in the right markets at the right time, doing the right things. And so we actually teach you how to use that system, and then we actually give you access to that system so that you can build your own watch lists if you want. We have chat rooms, and then we also have trades that we give out every day. So we have a pretty all-encompassing service, and you can be in a crypto room, you can be in a stock room, you can be in a VIP room, your choice. And what we charge for the service is nothing compared to what you get out of it. Go to TradeLikeAGenius.com. You have to August 14th to be able to take advantage of the specials and just enjoy what we do, and we'll teach you skills for life. So thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah, it's going to take a combination of all of us sharing different knowledge. And I don't have the skill sets for some things. Bob and his crew over there have different sets of skill sets. And as the old riverboat captains did in the Mississippi, they knew their section of the river better than anybody else and could guide through the troubles, because nobody can know everything at one time. But think about all that knowledge and repository in one place that can help guide through what I really believe is a financial collapse coming, in just a different way of world that we're going to be wandering into. So I hope you get something out of what we're going to talk about for the next couple minutes. And I think we're going to start right here. Everybody's thing that they do every day: food. We all need to eat. Everybody's got a mouth. We all eat.
That's the one that looks like it's ready to move. Wheat looks dead, and soybean just had a big move. So mosaic's breaking out again. We probably have another year on that one. And we also have the shippers are doing outstanding. So that's kind of where I'm focused right now. So looks like the La Nina is going to break here in California finally.
I was looking at the European Severe Weather EU, and they said it looks like it's going to hang on through the winter, because New Zealand is expecting another La Nina coming into spring. They're expecting for it to hold on. I've really been following that because somebody else I'm talking with has also been following the Nina and how large and how vast it is, almost all the way out to Indonesia now, the cooler water. So it's good that you got some different info than what I'm seeing, because I like to compare, and even if it is different, like, where's yours coming from versus mine?
I'll retweet it for you. It came out, guy I follow, it came out today, mostly back to neutral. They're looking for a Modaki anyway, so it should be really rainy regardless.
Yeah, and all the winter forecasts have come out for the U.S. and Europe. Going to be blistering cold they called it like hibernation glacial event all through like North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, down into that central Nebraska area. And this side all freezing cold, but then out where you are, it's like kind of mild and a little bit drier. We'll see.
We'll see. Well, we can't have many more years like that.
So here's
All
what
right.
happened, Bob. It seems that some of the older traders have come back in from way back in the day, that they retired already. They've been out of the game for like 10 years plus. They're piling back in, but they want the physical because they used to be the corn pit guys. They're pulling back in and they want to take physical delivery on the corn, and they won't accept the cash settle. They've just offered him again on Monday, cash settle. They're like, we're standing for delivery. We've already told you we're standing for delivery. This comes up in September 16th. They want the physical corn, but they're just not able to facilitate the barges or the rail to get it to them. And there's a backup going on at the moment. So word is in there that there I'm just saying maybe a force majeure call on that, because the guys know that if they can get the corn, it's going to be incredibly valuable having the product in hand. So they're playing all these shenanigans. I'm calling them pirate traders, but that's just me.
Yeah, they're going to keep it. Where are they going to store it?
They're not. They're going to put it on a barge and get it out of there to the next buyer like 5 minutes after contract close. They're playing the game. They want to get the physical to try to disrupt the market to drive the price. So when they do have the physical, they have an immediate sell and an immediate buyer on the other end. They're just playing the run it up game. That's all.
Yeah, they're creating a backwardation. They probably short it in the next contract.
Oh, absolutely. Going out, especially for December. You know, these guys are also taking way out of the money calls for December of next year. So they're trying to scrape premiums when they drive the prices up too. So they're going to sell off their premium on the options contract moving forward. But they know super out of the money. They're writing their own calls. They're so far out of the money that they're writing their own calls for December of next year. On the clearing firms covering them to write their own calls because it's so far out of the money. They don't even have a bid offer list for that thing that far out of the money, but they know if they can drive the price up and they can get it into that and then on sell the premiums. And they want to control massive amounts of corn, and then they're just going to dump it all at the same time. You're right. They're going to short it and it's going to drop, and they're going to make money the other way.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. These traders have been blowing up a lot of these metal exchanges and stuff like that too. They're going to get to the point where you're going to have to actually be an industry buyer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You just can't be a speculator, or an industry seller. Like a lot of these guys will just come in and do. They're just financials. They're not, they're not in there to sop up the supply. They're in there to basically control the inventory. So those guys, you're going to see all these exchanges go that way because there's just too much money sloshing around trying to blow these contracts up. You're talking metals, miners, metals, precious metals, and commodities. They're just there's so much cash out there. They can blow up all these smaller, markets. The only market they struggle with is oil. So because oil's too big.
So something nefarious this way comes, and if they can do it on the corn in September, they're going to run it again in December for the wheat delivery. Now, beans have already run too much in November for them to catch up, and apparently the opportunity's been lost on the November bean delivery. But
yeah, well, we'll watch it though. Maybe it's a trade for us. So
could be. That's just a distant early warning from the guys up there that I know from this that have gem seats out there on the CME.
Well, that's why it showed up on my system as a buy. So.
Yeah, you should be if you're looking at it like the 200-day, you should see some turning going on right now. It should just start eking around a corner. Give it another week or two, and you definitely see some movement on the long term.
Yeah, corn. I'm only interested in the cash corn 600, 650. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, I don't know how many cents it moved today. I wasn't really paying attention. I know soybean is doing the opposite of what it should do. It should drop in the harvest quarter, but it's increasing in price. I'm like, what in the hell? Like these things are increasing in the harvest time, which is usually the opposite. I'm trying to make head, I was hoping I could ask you today, like head or tails of this, because I just don't get it. Why the prices keep rising when we're coming in to not a glut, but an oversupply for these few months when we get into harvest, but it's going up.
But looking at corn, corn came off the low here on the 23rd, 582.10. It says 630. It's still in, that move hasn't happened yet, but if it breaks over 651.92, then you can see a pretty good move up again. But it's painting an inverted Head and Shoulders. So you're looking at a move from 582 to 680. So another $100 move. So 750. Yeah, this is a CFD. This is corn cash CFD.
So an inverted head and shoulders pattern, that would be a breakout upward then versus a regular head and shoulders where it breaks down on that second shoulder pattern, right?
Yeah, right. So we're looking at, but it needs to get over 680. And when it gets 680, it'll move up another 100 points. So
Okay, another 100
I
cents
don't know
up.
what, if I look at the ETF, which is the corn fund, is sitting at 2486. It has inverted head and shoulders too. So if anybody wants to make a quick 10%, they should be buying corn. Actually, if it crosses over here, we should get a buy. So 2486 from 23, $26 on ETF. But I don't know if it'll squeeze. Obviously if it squeezes, but that's what the math is telling me now. So, but wheat looks like it's well supplied right now. Soybean looks well supplied in the market right now. The cattle, even though prices are down here in California, I think it's because there's a lot being slaughtered. But it looks like going forward, there's supplies coming off the market. So,
Okay, and I had one last question for you. If they do a force majeure call, however long that is, up on the CBOT for the corn delivery, how does that affect your ETF there? They're going to have to stop trading because they don't have price discovery, and they'll have to lock that market up immediately then? Like, I don't think they could continue to trade if the CBOT, where the corn supposedly is coming from. Like, how does that work on the general market then?
no, in fact, it'll probably make prices go higher because they just like with if you had to do force majeure on gold, they just settle in dollars. It'll just be settled in dollars. Those guys are just going to get a bunch of dollars instead of getting a barge. Okay, so they may have to scramble because they shorted the market for the next contract out, right? So if they get a bunch of cash, they can't deliver anything to that buyer.
Yeah, and then
So,
see, this is that you just answered my question. Thank you, because that's exactly what they said. And I was talking to them. If it goes just what you said, force majeure and whatnot, that they're going to go directly out to the silos and start bargaining with them to take that, cut out that middle and go straight to the silos or go straight to the grain operators. And apparently Cargill owns an enormous amount of that. So it's sort of a monopoly pricing at that point, because they're going directly to Cargill and just cutting out all other prices. And, it's going to be an individual basis for the buy at that point. And then you get into all these other problems if that's truly going to happen, or if it would,
prices will come down because the speculators, they don't want the cash, right? Because they're already contracted with these guys, right? If they can't deliver, contracts are going to be broken. Price will come down short term. You're going to get a balance change. The contract in the future will probably go up. So just like if you have a car for me to buy, right? If you don't have the car anymore, I don't care how much cash you have, right? It means nothing to me as a buyer. So,
and the clearing firms are going to get fined per day on a non-closure on that contract until they can facilitate. Farmers would be better off, I think, but they'll still get fined if they can't fill in on that contract.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is there more corn than buyers, or is there more buyers than corn? So
more buyers than corn currently.
Yeah, so the price will go up. But I'm talking about end user buyers, not speculators. Look, the speculators, if they can't silo it, they're not buyers. Okay, it's the guy that's going to take that corn and turn it into sugar, or turn it into ethanol, or turn it into food product, or turn it into ag feed, right? Those are the buyers. So those are the guys that are gonna that really matter in terms of that. The speculative guys, if they, you may have, these guys have this barge, right? So then you got to look at the barge rates, right? What if these guys say, I don't need it?
There's a barge shortage too right now. Nobody can explain where all these, barges have gone to. Again, like the rail car capacity just disappeared. 20% of all the rail cars in America just out in thin air. Well, they're somewhere, but where? That's the question.
Yeah. All
Same
I'll
with the
say is
barges.
there's enough grain in the country right now.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely there
So
is. But on the
yeah,
international market, and Bob, I've been following the Tonga ash fall really heavily in these last few months. And I'm on Mike Adams' TV program now, so I got my own Brighteon TV program, and I go every other Friday up to their studio and record in there. And the latest one I did was on the Tonga ash. Now, there's significant temperature data coming out showing there's been a 3 degree to 4 degrees Celsius drop on the high end of things. And, Mount Pinatubo cooled our planet 0.7 degrees, but this eruption, the ash was 2.5 times higher in the atmosphere than Pinatubo was. And now they're starting to see the effects of the volcanic like afterglows and the temperature drops and the extremes that they've been seeing with record snowfall and record rainfall. So these traders are also keeping their eye on the Southern Hemisphere to see, can Brazil and Argentina, South Africa and Australia really produce at the level that could alleviate some of this shortage? And the answer is absolutely zero. Once they realize that, they're going to go into even more of a deficit because of the volcanic ash. This is like a year without a summer light version. And I presented all the data for a full hour on my findings of what I've been studying for the last, I've been following it since the eruption back in January. And it looks like there is significant cooling happening in certain regions, specifically Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, southern Brazil, South Africa, and parts of Western Australia. And
you're seeing it. You're seeing it in the southern hemisphere. United States and Canada look golden right now. Europe, I don't know how the heat's affecting their grains over there, but Russia's having a good year too. So I've always said Russia is the marginal producer of wheat because we're pretty contracted out. Either we use it locally or we send it to China. You know what I mean? And Russia's they're the guy that are producing the swing amounts of grain. Brazil and Argentina are China's biggest market, so be interested to see what happens there.
Yeah, did you have a chance to look at the Cyprus Times article that I sent you there, talking about the first grain deliveries coming out of Ukraine? Everybody's like, oh, though it's all grain markets are open again. They rejected delivery from too much contamination in it and too much mold, black corn, and even for animal feed, it didn't pass spec regulation for animal feed quality, so they rejected the shipment.
I don't know. The Ukraine thing's going to wind down in the next 6 to 9 months. The Russians are going to consolidate their gains. The Americans are going to lose interest, and then we're going to move back on again. So Europe's going to demand it.
Yeah. So how are you seeing this whole gas thing of heating stations being set up in Germany? And the rivers are really low right now. I just got some readings today. They had to stop barge traffic up parts of the Rhine and the Danube, and they had all these smaller rivers in France I hadn't really heard of before, but there's no traffic there. So I can't see that the USDA is calling good production when you're in a place where they're showing the drought stones and they've stopped barge traffic because no water. Those two don't match for me.
The French can't produce nuclear power because the water's too warm. So yeah, they're having an interesting year there. I thought global cooling was supposed to cause floods, and that's what I was told today by Bill McKibben on the floods in Korea. Oh, but it's droughts other places. These guys are such idiots. So
no, I can explain that one. I can explain that one for you really easily. With the weakening magnetic field on our planet, the jet streams are allowed these more vertical push down instead of the undulation. And what they're doing is they're taking those cloud cells and bunching them up. So now these cloud cells are running into each other in the atmosphere and going out of their normal pattern. So they're dumping a river out of the sky, but then by the time they've wrung themselves out, they're moving over and that moisture is gone where it should be in another atmospheric pattern further down the globe.
I was being rhetorical. They use whatever emergency, whatever disaster is global warming. That's all. It doesn't matter. If it's flooding in Korea, that's global warming. If it's drought in France, it's global warming. I understand, we're getting extreme weather because we're having wiggly jet streams, but, looks like the Southwest is going to come out of its, at least what I'm seeing, starting to come out of its La Nina. But anyway, they said, even if we stay in La Nina, it should be a Madoki. La Nina,
Yeah,
which is still
what's that term Madoki? You mentioned that, and I haven't even
it's
heard that before.
well, it's if you look at the if you look at the sectors, it's not just you just don't have El Nino and La Nina. It depends on like just like they look at the hurricane center, they kind of parse out the Pacific, and
Hmm.
it all depends on how deep and how wide the um, the cooling and the heating is. But they call it the Madoki La Nina. If you look it up, you'll see that it's actually a wet rain event, even though we're in a La Nina year. But yeah, looks like we're coming out of it though, so we'll see. It's
So does that mean what's that mean for the U.S. Then more rainfall? Crops will get this last couple of weeks or a month to mature in the field then with a little more precipitation?
this is like December, January, February kind of event.
Mm.
The Southwest can't absorb another 2 years of this drought. So I fully expect it. Well, the monsoon season has been very strong this year, as you know, right? So we're getting a very strong monsoon season. In fact, we had a storm rip through San Diego yesterday. And so we had a hurricane that came right up the Pacific coast. It didn't really give a rain event to us, but usually those things spiral out towards Hawaii or curve into Mexico. And so, all you need is one of those to zip in through Arizona as a tropical event and probably could fill up Lake Mead in an hour. So, but we actually started seeing with these monsoons, Lake Mead actually had a slight rise in storage. So, which is very good. But we need a good strong Colorado rain season to support basically the water infrastructure in the West. I'm surprised that California hasn't. We've had a couple water desal plants now, but the Greens are fighting it because all they care about is putting people into the caveman life, and so you have, LA can easily put 3 or 4 desal plants up there, and so you can start diverting water from the Colorado or storing it longer, so that we can avoid these situations in the future because we're going into the dry cycle. You know, One thing that people don't realize when they see these droughts is that, oh my God, 200-year drought. That's true, but if you look at the tree ring data or the stream data, it tells you that it says variability. So you may have 3 or 4 years of very low rainfall, and then you have 1 year just kick-ass rain, but the ground had no ability to really store the water like we can store the water. So, it only takes 1 or 2 back to back huge El Nino years to be able to survive 10 years or 15 years of drought, if you follow what I'm saying. And so they need to continue to create water storage or water desal. San Diego did it, cost 10% more for your water, but the price is locked in now because, it's guaranteed source. All it takes is, basically energy. And they're buying long-term contracts on natural gas and solar, whatever. So San Diego doesn't have to ever worry about a drought ever again. They decoupled. They got kicked off of the national water, and they got kicked out of Colorado river water because Arizona started taking their allocation, and they solved it that way. Boom, solved. So, Orange County probably could do it too. They're building a plant in Huntington Beach, but we need 2 or 3 of them in LA and a couple in San Francisco too. If they really want to save the snail darter, throw a couple desal plants up there and you'll be fine. So,
Well, let me ask you about this water futures in California. Apparently, it reached some record high price over the last 2 weeks. So, how is it that they're able to put together a water futures contract for me, I'm still baffled how they're able to guarantee
yeah,
that they even have the supply when we're talking about droughts and floods. Obviously, if there's flood,
yeah,
there's more water, but
yeah,
you're living right in the center of that with this water
yeah.
futures contract market.
Yeah, it's really simple. So there's a lot of ag land that's not going to be put into use next year because the farmers pledged their water to the contract instead of pledging the water to the farm. So a lot of these guys are big landowners. Farmers lease that land from those landowners, And they just tell them next year you're not going to lease the land. We sold the water rights because we're getting more money to sell the water than let you pump it and use it for the farm. So that's where it's coming from. It's not that water was found, it's that the water is being repurposed. It's going to affect the price of food going forward. That's why I always tell people 2022 is not the year to look for food shortages. It's 2023 into 2024, which is going to be the problem years.
So the water is more valuable than the food currently, or the value to get as a farmer is just, you don't have to do any work. You don't have to put your feet out there. You're not out in the sun 18 hours a day. You're not doing all that hard work, fuel, breakdown, machinery repair, and you just sell off the rights for the water, and you're making more money than you would actually farming for the year at current prices.
Yeah, but a lot of these landowners they lease the land out. So they're not doing any of that stuff. They're like, yeah, I can
They're
make
just
more
leasing
money.
it.
I can make more money. I can make more money leasing to you this year than I can and sell you the water versus me just selling the water. Now it's flipped. I make more money just selling the water rights, and I don't need you to lease my land next year. So these guys aren't farmers. These guys are landowners. These are the old families that own tens and twenties and hundreds of thousands of acres out here. They have water rights, and so they sell them to the highest bidder. The farmer wants it, sure, I'll sell you the water. Up too much money, I'm selling it to the because the farmer can only pay so much for the water, right? Because he won't be able to make money. So if it gets too high, they just sell it to the whoever's asking for it. Usually the cities, municipal districts, because we have a network out here, so that water can get to wherever it needs to go. It's fungible.
I do thank you for watching today. Hope you got something out of our conversation. I've been here with Bob Kudla, tradelikeagenius.com. Make sure you head over there, check out what they have, what we talked about today, bundled specials, and just the wealth of information that's available. There's ways that people do see the future, but Bob seems to have a crystal ball that's bent around the corner that reflects off in front of the corner. There's definitely something further out in the quote unquote time space that he sees versus others. So until next time, Bob, any closing words for us?
No, just opportunities are everywhere, my friend. So, don't fret, find them.
The best advice ever. All right, bye for now.
Thank you.